everybody, and welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jess and my channel has a range of content ranging from bookers content, project planning, vlogs, lifestyle, etc. Today's video is going to be my November reading wrap up. I also wanted to mention in here, but I have uploaded 2 videos last week and my aim is to hopefully, fingers crossed, upload 2 videos a week, once on Wednesday, once on Sunday through the month of December. Also, yes, I do have a like burrito slash tortilla looking blanket on my bed. My boyfriend got me this for my birthday. It's so soft. Let's jump right on into this video. So I had a really great reading month in November. It didn't really feel like it because for the last like week or two of November I actually wasn't reading anything. So I honestly have a fat stack of books right here. Okay, so the first thing that I finished in November was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I did not enjoy this. I listened to it via audiobook because I could not get into it physically reading it. I listened to it on audiobook by my library with the Libby app, and I still didn't like it. I found it very boring, also weird, also very hard to take in. Like, you could definitely tell that the construct and dialogue of the book was written a while ago. I've heard so many people love this and really enjoy it, but I just really did not enjoy it at all. I think I actually ended up giving it like 1 star or 2 stars. Let's have a look. I gave it 2 stars, which is probably a little bit polite of me because for my personal enjoyment definitely was like a 1 star. The next book that I read was a really chunky boy. This was that was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. My reading experience was really good. I love this series. It's been a while since I read the second book in this series, but this book picked up right where that left off and really built upon it. If you haven't read this series, I'm sure you guys will know what the series is about because I'm definitely behind on the hype. But yes, I really enjoyed reading this. It was such a quick read, bearing in mind how thick it was. I definitely would say I got through it really really I think I actually ended up reading it in 2 sittings, which is really impressive. I just love Rysland, and Rise is my favourite character. I love our main character Feyre. I also love how there's consequences for the actions that the characters make, and I think I actually gave it 5 stars, 4 stars? 5 stars. The plot just really developed in this book in my opinion, and I felt that it had quite a good rounded ending. I read was Petulance by Laura Thrasser. This is the first book in the last series by her that I have to read to have read her complete backlist of fantasy romance series. This was not my favourite from her. It just really wasn't my favourite from her, but I still enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars in total. I read this one on Kindle Unlimited. I did actually buy it and then read it straight away, so it's like a book that I bought this month. But I enjoyed it enough to give it 3 stars, but it definitely is not one of my favourite book series from her, but that is perfectly okay, and I will of course continue to read the series. I enjoyed it enough to continue, but it just wasn't, I felt that it wasn't as well written as other series by her. Okay, sorry, my camera cut off. Next I read The Roommate by Rosie Danham. I surprisingly really love this. I didn't know what it was about going into it, and I think that made it all the better. I can't really speak on the representation of the industry that they are talking about, but I do think that it definitely brought up some interesting challenges that I never thought about in the industry that is talked about a lot in here. I'm not going to mention why it shocked me because I feel like it's a spoiler because it's not written on the blurb, but guys, this thoroughly shocked me. I actually ended up giving it 5 stars. I really loved it. I loved the slow progression in the relationship. I also really enjoyed kind of like the step-by-step and the representation from a very different type of like job than I've ever read from, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it definitely makes me want to read some more romance books that include this kind of job and business industry, because it is not really something that I have ever read before, and I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Definitely not what I thought it was from looking at this cover, because I don't know why. I always feel like these covers seem like they're going to be like more soft romances, but there definitely is some smutty scenes in here, so it's definitely an open door romance, not a closed door one. But I thoroughly enjoyed this one and I gave it 5 stars. Oh my god. Then another great read that I read is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Really thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I was so relieved at the ending. I feel like there was some really good stuff mentioned in here. I know a lot of people say this is not their favourite book by her. I believe this is her newest book, but I just love it. It's hate to love, and I feel like there's a really good story in here. There's also a really good relationship between two sisters that you get to discover and see what's going on. And I also love that it was like bookish people with bookish jobs falling for each other, enemies to lovers, as I said, but they kind of have this really strong understanding of one another, and I just think it's so wholesome and I love it so much. And I loved the ending as well, because I was a bit worried at the ending. I loved what it stood for though, the independence that it stood for, but I was worried, and it gave me the ending that I wanted, so I was really excited about that. Then I read Meet Me at the Wedding by Georgia Tolofo, and I really enjoyed this one. I give this one 3 stars. It wasn't as good as the 2 romances that I've already talked about. I thought this one was like a really light, easy to read kind of thing. There's a lot of like misconceptions of each other in this book. Then I started a reread of one of my favourite series when I was younger, but everyone keeps talking about this series now, and I feel like I missed out on something because I read it when I was a lot younger, so I decided that I was going to read it again, start rereading it, and I've had the time of my life, the absolute time of my life rereading this series. Absolutely loved every second of this reread so far. I've still got books to read from the series, and that series is the Shatter Me series by Tahara Mafi. I think that's how you say her name. So I have reread the first 3 books in the series. First, can we talk about how stunning these book covers are? The first 3 books in the series, so that is Shatter Me. I give this one 5 stars on reread. I just think these are so like addictive and compelling to read, and I'm not gonna lie, I rate them based on enjoyment, and I also just feel like they're well written for a young adult series as well. So yeah, this one I gave 5 stars to. Unravel Me, I think I also gave 5 stars to. Absolutely loved it. And then Ignite Me I gave 4 stars to, but did not have any less enjoyment, just felt like it couldn't get that 5-star rating. And I absolutely love this series. I've fallen back in love with it. I can see why I was obsessed with it as a kid. Like when I was younger, I read the series back to back to back, and I read these 3 books back to back to back, so I can definitely see why I did that and why I had such a high enjoyment level of the series. This is a dystopian world, and it has that trope that people would say is a stereotypical one for a young adult, where there is a girl who cannot touch anyone without killing them, but you kind of go through and you learn why that is, and there's other people that maybe are similar to her, and you kind of figure out a lot about her powers, her life, and this dystopian world whilst you go through this. And there is a subplot, and there is a romance plot here as well, and there is also a love triangle as well, in case you're curious to know some of the tropes that are within this book. And then finally I read / listened to the audiobook from my library with the Libby app, the last of the Trials of Nevermore, the Trials of Morrigan Crow. I finally listened to the last part of that audiobook. I won't lie, I have been renewing it through my library for a while because I haven't been listening to audiobooks that much, but I absolutely adore this. This is a children's / middle grade book about a girl called Morrigan Crow, and she is going to die on the night of her birthday, but gets rescued and taken to this place called Nevermore. It is incredible. I really love the story. I think it's really well written, and I enjoyed it so much. I gave this 5 stars. Took me a while to listen to all of the audiobook, and I do feel like I would have probably read this quicker if I was physically reading it. However, the audiobook narrators on Libby for this audiobook, incredible. The second book's also on audio, and I've started listening to it now as well, but it's just incredible. The audiobook narrators for this series on Libby have been incredible. Their voices so good, and this book has had me laughing out loud at points, like literally laughing out loud whilst listening to it, whilst walking places or on the university inter-campus bus. Like, I've had so much enjoyment out of this book and this book series so far, and I loved it so much that I gave it 5 stars. I just really enjoyed it. I think it's a great middle grade book. And those are all 10 of the books I read this month. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you're new around here and would like to see more videos from me, and I'll catch you guys all in my next one. Bye!